Shalom and welcome. I am Rabbi Jason Rodich, and I am so honored to be in your home right now to have this conversation with all of you about something that is very important to me, which is the centrality of the tradition of storytelling in Jewish tradition. There are not many things that I think we could claim are as absolutely central to who we are as a people than the story. In the very first book of the Torah, in the very opening of who we are, in the book of Bereshit, the first action verb that occurs is Vayomer, and Vayomer Elohim, and God said. And right there we have it, the beginning of the world, the beginning of it all, the beginning of who we become to be. It happens with speech. And so for us as Jews, part of what a story means is that a story is part of how we come into being. What is your story? What is our story? What is your connection to the Jewish story? In our tradition, we come together around a story every single Shabbat. In fact, 3 days a week, we read our communal story, our Torah. And we remember who we are through over and over again. Hafuch v'hafuch, as the Mishnah teaches. Turn it over again and turn it over again. We come again to story. And there's something there to learn, beyond just the lessons that the Torah itself offers to teach us. Part of what we get from this really radical idea that in the middle of everything is a story is that we also have stories. The Jewish story does not end with the Torah. We too are links to this ancient chain. And our individual stories as Jews are as important as we continue to let the Jewish story, the Torah that is our lives, unfold. And so with that, I'd like to share with you part of my story, which is an act of vulnerability that I will then invite each of you to participate in as well. Because if we don't take the opportunity to really open up and share those core parts of who we are, then we never really become the community that we can be. I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I happened to come out as gay at a very young age. I was 15 years old, and the first place that I did that was at a retreat with my religious school. It was a 9th grade retreat, and I was at a summer camp. And I was terrified. I remember how scared I was. When I was at public school, this was something that was clearly not an option. It was not a safe place. But I made the decision to take the risk and share my story with my synagogue community. Amazingly, my vibrant urban Reform congregation met me back with a tremendous amount of love. They may not all have understood exactly what was going on with me, but there was a sense of community that meant that who I was okay. I often share this story when people ask me, why did you become a rabbi? And it's not only for this reason, but there is something very core in me that saw the power of a synagogue to be a place that really gathers around someone and supports them and shows them love and shows them what a Jewish community can be. And so in many ways, my life mission is to help recreate the kind of community that I was so blessed to experience. I want to invite you to think about what your Jewish story is and what the power of sharing that story in community might be. And so as part of this, I invite you to respond to these 3 questions. What is your Jewish story? It could be anything. It could be a story from your childhood, a story about why you joined Emmanuel. But when you think of that question, what comes to mind? What is your individual Jewish story that links to our bigger Jewish story? Secondly, going back to the tradition, do you have a favorite traditional Jewish story? Perhaps a story in Torah or a Hasidic tale, and why? And finally, why do you think that stories are important? I've given you my argument. Do you agree? Are stories central to who we are as a people? Do they matter? Does the presence of stories make a difference in building a Jewish community? Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your conversation.